What do you think it means to have faith in God? What does it mean to believe in God? What does it mean to do His will? Some people would say that believing in God is simply just acknowledging the fact that He exists. And that may be true, but I think it's a bit deeper than this. And I sadly think that many people who claim that they believe in God, they either don't believe in God or they don't know God. And if you don't know God and you claim to believe in Him, then your belief is effectively meaningless. What I think it means to believe in God. Well, let's discuss the idea of sacrifice. Specifically, the sacrifice of what is loved most. Sometimes, maybe even a person. In the book of Genesis, Abraham is called away from his father's house. And then God tells him to sacrifice his only son, Isaac. Now, why would God tell him to do that? Well, let's keep reading on. Later, whenever Abraham goes to slaughter his son Isaac, an angel calls out for his name, Abraham, Abraham, and tells him to stop. And God instead gives him a sheep to sacrifice. A sheep that had its thorns in a bush. A sheep that had its head in a thorn bush. Just like how Jesus had a crown of thorns. And instead of Isaac, instead of Abraham's only son, there was a lamb who took his place. That lamb, metaphorically, is Jesus. Because instead of Abraham's son, or us, it's Jesus who was sacrificed for us. So the whole foundation of Christianity is sacrifice. Without Jesus' sacrifice, without His death on the cross, we wouldn't go to heaven. We would have no salvation. Maybe life wouldn't have any meaning. There would be no truth. There would be no God. And so if Jesus made a sacrifice, then it makes sense that we must also make a sacrifice. In Luke chapter 6, in the book of Luke, Jesus says, "Whoever would follow me, let him deny himself and take up his cross every day and follow me." To deny yourself is to humble yourself, and to pick up your cross is to sacrifice. And often, what needs to be sacrificed is that which is loved most, and that which is desired most. So what Jesus is saying here is, if you want to follow me, that's cool. That's great. Follow me. Follow the truth. But whoever wants to follow me, whoever wants to follow Jesus, let him take up his cross every single day. So like Jordan B. Peterson said, sacrifice and get good at it. Because sacrifice might just be what it means to believe in God. So what is it that we have to sacrifice? What's the exact thing, the exact formula that works for everybody? And I don't think there is one. I don't think there's one thing, although there might be one common thing that needs to be sacrificed, but the thing that needs to be sacrificed the most varies depending on who the person is and what sacrifices they've already made and what sacrifices they haven't made. Sometimes the greatest sacrifice could be a relationship that you have with maybe your family, maybe your parents, maybe your friend, maybe your spouse. Maybe there is something that you have to sacrifice. Maybe it's drugs or alcohol. Maybe it's something that gives you a lot of pleasure, like gluttony, maybe lying, maybe being angry at people. There's all sorts of things that you have to sacrifice, but of course we should focus on the one thing that needs to be sacrificed the most. One of the reasons that you have to sacrifice things, or at least one of the benefits of sacrifice, is, well, if you want to cause the greatest amount of change in your life, a good start is to sacrifice what you love most. And often, after sacrificing what you love most, and that of which you should sacrifice and not keep, that's going to cause, or it's going to be a massive change or a massive motivator, or it's going to be a massive motivation to push you over the edge to cause a massive amount of change in your life. I made a previous video talking about sacrifice and how if you want to change your life, it's going to require sacrifice. And the biggest change that you can undergo in your entire life is following Jesus, is being born again, becoming a Christian, being saved by God. That transformation, that process from being born again until today, that's a bigger change than you dying and going to heaven. More about you is going to change after being saved by Jesus than entering the presence of God. So, if you want to follow Jesus, take up your cross, or at least be willing to take up your cross every single day.